Wagner is 12 years old and he lives in a poor part of a hot and humid city on the equator. Bruno is 14 and he and his family live on an island in the rainforest about an hour away. These two children live in the Brazilian Amazon, a place full of legends and myths and a place with a reputation for conflict and violence. But that's not the whole story, and what binds these two together is a shared dream in this remote corner of South America. Because both Wagner and Bruno want to be cellists. This is the story of the Amazon Youth Cello Choir and the battle of children to learn an instrument against all the odds.
I try to practice cello 4 hours in a day, but sometimes it's difficult. Only 24 hours in a day, so I have to practice that night. But sometimes it's difficult because my father, my mother are sleeping. Other difficult is the sound of the streets, the bus, the cars. This noise is terrible.
Following the story of Bruno and Wagner and others in the group, this documentary reveals the courage and determination of these young people in Belém, the city at the mouth of the River Amazon. Already a major success on Radio 4, this is the first opportunity for an audience to see the challenges they face and the passion with which they play in an extraordinary part of the world. It challenges our expectations of an Amazonian city, and it is by turn both moving and inspirational. The radio version has already led to many sponsors wanting to help the children of the Amazon Youth Cello Choir. Without good instruments and without teachers, they have set out to conquer the world, and this is their story. A story which next year will take them from their homes in the Amazon all the way to the London stage. Music from the children of the rainforest.
My name is Débora Borges Paiva. I have been studying cello for 4 years and I love it.
The most difficult problem is being without teacher. I try to practice cello 4 hours in a day, but sometimes it's difficult.
I think these are special children. They play very well because they have a sensibility. That's why they can play the most difficult pieces.
The voices of members of the Amazon Youth Cello Choir who have brought Bach and Vivaldi to the city of Belém in the Brazilian rainforest. Children such as Bruno.
Meu nome é Bruno Valente, Rafael Valente da Silva.
I think that the most interesting thing about Bruno Valente is that when he reached the age of 7 years old, he was entirely independent. He was already riding the bus by himself, he was already going to a school by himself, and this is a very dangerous situation.
I first met the group in 2002. Then they had a local teacher, Ario de Freitas, who had inspired them to play the cello. But Ario was leaving them for the United States, and they were to be without any formal tuition. So could the Amazon Youth Cello Choir survive? Since
Since my last visit, I'd heard that some of the children had left the group, disillusioned with the lack of professional tuition available in Belém. The city, at the mouth of the Amazon river system, is far from any centres of musical excellence in Brazil, and few teachers are prepared to spend time working in the equatorial heat and humidity of this part of the world. But their maestro, Audio, is back from the USA on a flying visit, and I've been told that the group will be together again, practicing new pieces in the centre of town. Last time I met the orchestra, it was in some fairly smart rehearsal rooms, a place called the Praça da República, which is opposite the great opera house of Belém. This time I've been directed to a small Baptist church on one of the side streets. Posso entrar? Okay, I'm into the grounds of the church. The building itself looks a little bit run down, I must admit, but I believe the children are somewhere in some rehearsal rooms here. I'm going to have a look.
These are the practice room that the church gave to us, but it is so hot inside that the kids just would rather just be outside. And sometimes late in the afternoon when the birds are coming here, it's just a big, huge mess here. There's birds all over. You just can't stand it. But anyhow, sometimes when it starts raining, just the only way to come. That's really.
And what are the conditions like here compared with the place you were using this time last year?
The other place was much better. Was a place honored by the university, so we had a great piano there, and we had air conditioning. Was much better. Here, unfortunately, that's what we had, and we just thank them a lot.
And what they've offered you basically is kind of a concrete room with windows just on one side, and a fairly low ceiling, so I guess it must echo a bit in here.
Yeah, There's no way to practice here.
O primeiro, vamos começar. A Débora pega na frente. Phoenix.
I'm trying to tell them they have to be more efficient.
I always tell Deborah that she cannot lay an egg
Every time that we change music.
Is that a Portuguese expression?
Yes. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I can understand. But...
Ready? Okay, bora lá. Phoenix.
So Deborah, last time we met, I think you were telling me about a piece that you learned called Kol Nidri. Remember that last year?
I remember, yes.
So how has the year been since then? What kind of things have happened? Because Audio has left and he now lives in the United States. How difficult is that for you?
Okay, not only for me, but for all the group was difficult to continue the rehearsals. But besides, although Audio was far from here, we could learn 2 new pieces. The Haydn concert, you know, it's like this, the beginning. So, and then also we are going to play the Phoenix with the youngest components of the group. They will play with us. And Audio came here in Belém twice in a year. So we made the big rehearsals with them, and after each one stayed studying the parts. So now when Audio came back, everybody was working on it.
And you have managed to get some tuition from Audio through the internet, is that right?
Yes, it's right. I talk to him almost every day in the internet, and he gives his commands right there. It's great, and sometimes he makes some meetings with the students in the internet. I think we are using the globalization to help us.
And what are the conditions like now here? Because last time we met, you were in some rehearsal rooms up in Praça da República. Now we're down at the church here. What are the conditions like here?
We have to thank a lot to the church because it's for me it's a great place to have rehearsals.
So you don't need somewhere air conditioned?
No, it's if we can we have it, but no, it's okay. We are in Brazil, we have to feel this hot.
Pode balançar o peso amanhã. Tomorrow is going to be another day.
Well, we're just leaving the church here, and it must be about 8 o'clock, nearly 8 o'clock at night, but you're taking your cello home with you.
Yeah. It's difficult to take my cello to home every day because it's very expensive to pay taxi all day, every day.
We're about to cross the road here, so I guess we better be a bit careful. There's a lot of buses and there's a lot of traffic basically in the city centre. I think we can go.
Yeah.
Is it safe for you to walk with your instrument at night?
No, it's dangerous. Mainly in this square. This square is very dangerous. But sometimes I need to do this. I need to do this.
I'm going with Ario to meet up with one of the youngest members of the Amazon Youth Cello Choir, the very aptly named Wagner. When I last saw him, he was struggling to keep up with his musical studies, and he was bullied and teased as he walked the streets with a scaled-down cello strapped to his back. I've been to his house before, but after a number of wrong turnings in the wrong part of town, it's apparent that we're lost.
Wagner lives in one of the dangerous neighborhood where it looks like the favelas in Rio de Janeiro.
Favelas being a type of slum.
Exactly, yeah. It seems to me there is no... como é que se diz assim? Saneamento.
Sanitation.
Yeah, it seems to be it's right here. He lives right here. It seems there is no sanitation. And it's right now it's around 12 o'clock, and there's a few people just outside, just hanging around, just drinking. It seems that they do not have very much to do. In this area, it's very easy to see that the kids, they will either be inside watching television or outside just hanging around, playing, whatever.
Well, it's now about a year since I've been to Wagner's house. There's a whole group of people underneath the tree here just playing some game and drinking. So I think it's going to be better if I come inside. Now Wagner lives up a small alleyway along the side of a shop front here. It's a hairdresser's, in fact. His mother's a hairdresser here. And we're going up the side. Yeah.
Você conhece o Wagner?
Wagner?
Sim. Oi, tá aqui. Fala, meu. Lembra dele?
Oi, Wagner, tudo bom?
Tudo.
She's telling us to be careful about the mangoes. Not
mangoes?
Not to fall on our head. This is the mango season.
It may be the mango season, but I have to say that the idea of a mango falling on my head seems to be the least of my worries. Since this is the kind of noise which greets just about any movement outside the house, it's hardly ideal for practicing the cello. Indoors, things can be even harder.
Whenever it rains, this is the rainy season. It is awfully hot right now inside. Whenever it rains, they have to close every single window. Now, imagine.
pedindo autorização do violoncelo.
Wagner explains the most difficult thing for him, getting permission to borrow a cello from the local music school. They won't give one to him, so his mother has to go on his behalf and, as he puts it, beg for the use of the instrument.
Se ajoelhar para pedir o violoncelo.
He then has the responsibility of looking after it, and he lives in fear of either damaging it or having it stolen. His family have no car, and there's no money for taxis, so the only option is to take the instrument on the bus.
Olha o que acontece, o Wagner já entrou pela frente sem pagar, pelo tamanho dele.
Ah, okay. Explain in English for me. So we're in the back of the bus here. There's a big kind of turnstile thing that stops you getting any further into the bus. You have to pay to get the other side of this turnstile. How are they going to get the cellos there?
Oh, they have to climb over the, how do you call?
The turnstile.
Exactly.
So there's the cello being lifted up over the turnstile. It's not easy for her. She's got to push her way through and pay at the same time and get into this bus. It's almost impossible, especially with cellos which are obviously could be damaged very easily bumping along this road, which is cobblestones, unfortunately. The children of the Amazon Youth Cello Choir dream of being able to study music abroad. For the majority, a trip outside of their state of Pará, a vast region of rainforests, rivers and islands, is a very rare occasion. Some, like Wagner, have never been out of the state. But the dream is still there, to live and study in either the United States or Europe. And for some, it is achievable.
Please move right down inside the cars, using all available doors and space.
Diego Carneiro was born and raised in Belém. As one of Aurio's pupils, his musical ability was obvious. So today, he has a very different journey to the college where he studies. Trinity College of Music in Greenwich, London.
The first time I got here, I felt very, I don't want to say scary, but like, I didn't know what to do. The system is so different, and I had some problems. So, I mean, with the system, and I didn't know, I had to learn, and well, it was a little bit difficult. But then now I understand it's very easy to get college. So I'm learning a lot of things, and London is I like very much London. So it makes me really dream with things that I can do. There are so many things to do here, and it makes you every day to discover, to search for some things you don't have in Brazil.
Diego, we're right down by the river here, right next to the Cutty Sark, and you were telling me coming down to the water here in some ways reminds you of being in Brazil.
Yes, it's an amazing river, and it's like we see those boats, and well, in Belém we have the river around Belém, so, and we walk in Belém around, and we have this feeling. It's very easy to swim. So here they have the same feeling of swimming here, but I really can't. People don't here.
No, I wouldn't advise swimming in the Thames.
Yeah, right. The college here, besides the river, really brings peace to you and helps you to practice and to develop your musical ability. I have all these paintings. I think it's very well done, college, you know.
So these are all rehearsal rooms off the main corridor, yeah.
Yes. And outside, between the two buildings, like library and here, we have this amazing view. It's like Roman, buildings. And they have the river, and here all the music, all the people playing. For me, the first time I got here, I was okay. Now I think I'm in the paradise, really.
Well, funnily enough, there are two people from Belém. There's another boy called Joás, and one of the more colourful moments in our cello ensemble was when Joás and Diego started dancing together to Brazilian rhythms, and I don't think anybody in the group had seen anything quite like that before.
they are full of joy. I think they enjoy music making sometimes more than we do in Europe. Perhaps they are not so stressed with all the technique, I don't know. But certainly Diego is an example of very natural music making and full of joy.
I think that anybody who's talented should try to find every opportunity of obtaining the training that they require, and certainly they would always be welcome here. I think it is quite difficult financially, coming from an economy like the Brazilian economy, to afford the cost of living in London and of course the college fees. Diego was fortunate in obtaining financial help from Brazil, from Vitae, and Joás received completely unsolicited private sponsorship from a farmer in Curitiba, and that's how they've both been able to come here. And since they've been here, many people have been very kind and been very helpful to them. So I think everyone should try if they feel that's what they would like to do.
It's a very different world, you know. It's different for us, but we want to study in a good university. We want to have good conditions to study our music, you know. And here, it's not possible. It's difficult, very difficult, and we have to imagine that one day we will be there, you know.
Agora aqui praticamente está sem professor.
But for some, time is running out. Diego Felipe is 16, and he's had enough of waiting. He tells me that since he has no teacher in Belém, he's going to travel to Rio de Janeiro to stay with an aunt. There, he'll try and study. It'll be an adventure, he says. The adventure will take at least 3 days' journey by bus, and he will face an uncertain future in a dangerous city. Kalini Valenti has no such plans to leave, and has to live in hope in Belém.
Two things keep me stimulated in Belém. I think is the Amazônia Youth Cello Choir and my love for the cello, for the music. The Amazônia Youth Cello Choir because we help one another every time. We are together every time, and we love to play together, to help one another in everything. And the cello, I love the music, and how to say, superar, quero dizer, minha paixão pelo violoncelo supera todas as dificuldades. Overcomes every difficulty in Belém. This is very important.
The group has the chance to return to the rainforest and savanna island of Marajó, where they have performed before in the small scattered villages, often sleeping in hammocks in the locals' houses. This time they have a night at the Ilha de Marajó Hotel, where the owner has just one favour to ask. Would they be prepared to give an impromptu concert for the other guests? On Saturday night, the tourists, fuelled by the local hooch, are ready for music and dance of a more lively and provocative nature. So I wonder how Vivaldi will go down. Under the circumstances, this probably wasn't one of the Amazon Youth Cello Choir's best performances. But Aureo is concerned to get them up to standard. Soon there'll be a very different concert in the opulent setting of Belém's grand 19th century opera house, which can seat up to 1,000 people. For Wagner and the others, it's time for some serious rehearsal.
Vai. Tô. Vai. Tá, agora, presta atenção. Te concentra e faz com eles. Menino! Calma. Não, olha, o andamento vai ser isso aqui, Wagner. Tá. Eu vou sempre, pronto, vou sempre cantar pra vocês, tá? Antes. Vai ser isso aqui, olha. Tá.
Can I ask you how the rehearsal's going?
Pretty good. It's amazing. I was very surprised that the children that they did not know they were playing a solo. They handled it pretty well. I hope they will survive tonight. We are expecting a big crowd. 1, 2, 3, vai.
Well, I'm now right outside the theatre, and it's about 8:30. The concert's going to begin at 9, and there's a steady stream of people coming in. It all looks very promising, I must admit. It looks to me as if we're going to almost have a full house, which is really incredible. How did you find out about the concert?
Absolutely by accident. I was just sitting in front of the theatre having a beer, and then I saw the crowd hanging around. I asked myself what was going on. I live in Belém for 2 years now. I've never been in the theatre. So he asked, and we find out that the event was going to happen, and I'm very surprised to know that that's the only, the single one, children and young orchestra, cello orchestra in the world. And I'm really glad to be here, but it's absolutely by accident.
And what do you expect from this orchestra? I mean, what kind of standard would you expect from this orchestra of young cellists?
Well, I'm surprised. Well, being now for 2 years in Belém, I noticed that the city has some kind of tradition on classic music, and so I'm expecting quite a nice performance. I'm not a specialist in classic music. My standards are quite usual, so I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting show.
For this audience, the children of the Amazon Youth Cello Choir have a future, but much depends on getting help from musical communities both in Brazil and abroad. Aureo returns to the United States to gather more support, and the parents are left with the dreams of their children. Well, I'm now with Wagner's mother, and I'm going to ask her what she actually thought of the concert. Como você sente quando você viu Wagner em frente lá?
Eu chorei.
I cried. I confess I cried.
When he came on stage, I could never have imagined I would feel such emotion. It was marvelous.